Thanksgiving, a time of year where you eat too much food, you sleep all day, and you spend copious amounts of money on Black Friday. Truly a blessed holiday. But this time of year, people start thinking about what they're thankful for. And I thought about all the games I'm thankful for, all the games that really helped influence me or left an impact on me. And so I thought, might as well turn that into a video, so it's a pretty good idea. So I have a list of a few games, a few stories to tell about these games that left a genuine impact on me, either growing up or there was a particular experience or, a long series of events that really was tied to this game. The first game I'm going to talk about is Pokemon Heart Gold. I was probably in the 4th or 3rd grade when I got this game, used from a GameStop, and I was so desperately wanting my own Pokemon game because my only prior experience before this game was playing Pokemon Pearl from my brother, which was his game, and I only was kind of messing around in the Elite Four, Victory Road area, and so I never actually got to experience the game, but I just thought it was so cool. I had watched the Pokemon anime for such a long time, being a little bit before Black and White came out, so we were still in the Sinnoh region. I think that's Gen 4, Gen 3. I loved watching, Pokemon, and I loved collecting the cards, and so I decided in my little, whatever age you are in, 3rd or 4th grade, 9 or 10 or something, that I want a Pokemon game. So what I ended up doing was taking a bunch of my old DS games that I didn't want anymore and took them to GameStop, and I tried to trade them in, and all told, they were garbage games. They were not worth very much. Seriously, worth very little. And when I took them, I was like, dude, in these 9 games, I should be able to get Pokemon? No. And it crushed me when the lady at the cash register told me how much my trade-in would get me, even in terms of, store credit, was $9. And I remember 9-year-old me just standing at the counter, just bawling into tears, near instantly. I tried to hold it back, and I could visibly see my mom getting either just sad or upset at the fact that I was upset, and even though she warned me that this was going to happen, I did it anyways, and I was so sad. I don't know, a weird thing for a child to do, but I was just standing there about to burst into tears, and I was like, I need to step outside, and then I just sat on the curb in front of the car, in front of the GameStop, crying, because I desperately wanted to get Pokemon, and I was so dead set, and I thought it was going to work out, but it didn't. And later on, I think it was a day or two later, I was still pretty beat up about it, and my mom surprised me. She called me into her room, she surprised me with the copy of Pokemon Heart Gold that I was trying to get, and she bought it right, literally when I walked out of the room, out of the GameStop, and saw how fucking crushed I was. She bought it, and she was gonna save it for Christmas or my birthday. I generally forget what time of year it was. Could have been summer, could have been close to my birthday or Christmas. I can't really remember, but after seeing how crushed I was for the few days after, she's like, I can't do this. So she gave it to me, and it was probably one of the happiest moments I ever had as a kid. The next game I'm going to be talking about that I have a really strong, memory and association with is Dark Souls 3. This pushes the timeline ahead a good 6 years in terms of how old I was. I was 15 years old, freshman year of high school, the summer, so leading into sophomore year, but technically still a freshman. And I had summer school. I had failed so fantastically freshman year of high school because I just didn't want to do the work. And I got summer school. I had to make up 2 or 3 Fs in summer school. It was really bad, and I barely passed summer school with 2 Ds and a C. And my dad was not impressed. He was very upset. But by this point, my parents were separated, and my mom would pick me up from summer school, and as a reward for passing summer school, she took me to GameStop and said, you get to pick one game, and I got Dark Souls 3. And this was the game that got me to play my Xbox One again, because at this point, I had barely, I got the Xbox One, but I didn't have Xbox Live. I didn't really have any friends to play with, and Dark Souls 3 got me to turn my Xbox on again, got me to play, real console games again, because at this point, I basically exclusively played on my 3DS or my PSP. At this point, I didn't have my Vita. The Switch was a year or 2 away from coming out. A year. It was 2016 Dark Souls 3 came out. And so I was just not really touching, mainstream console games. But when Dark Souls 3 came out, and my mom got it for me as a reward for completing summer school, my dad was pissed. And he was even more pissed that I started bringing my Xbox between his house and my mom's house. And it was a whole ordeal. It was, eventually he was like, fine, just don't do that. Like my parents got in a whole argument over, why are you rewarding this? This is bad behavior. But it was really funny. And I, to this day, whenever I turn on Dark Souls 3, I just remember how the circumstances of me getting the game was just so truly crazy and outlandish. It was such an unlikely series of events led to me getting this game, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And I played this game non-stop for weeks. I eventually ended up beating that game upwards of 7 times on my Xbox One alone, and then 3 times on my PC, and it's just crazy. It's a fantastic game, and a game that I truly have so many fun memories of. The last game I'm going to be talking about is technically 2 games, but this game is Destiny 1/2. I didn't really, like I mentioned before, play with a lot of people. I didn't have Xbox Live at the time. It was something that my parents didn't want to pay for, and I didn't have any money to buy it myself. And I ended up, just playing a bunch of single player games. But my brother bought Destiny 1, and we could play some of it without Xbox Live, because that's something you could do back in the day. Not every game had to be always online. It was great. But I got into it. I thought it was cool enough, but I didn't really play much of it. But when I started to go to high school, and freshman year didn't really talk to much of anyone. Sophomore year, I started to make more friends, but not really playing many games with them. Junior year is really the year I started to play just copious amounts of video games with friends. And that's all thanks to just one friend I made. His name I won't be sharing, but it's thanks to him that he introduced me to so many people that I would eventually play games with on almost a daily basis. My longest streak was I played every single day after school Destiny 1 and 2 when that eventually came out, and eventually when I purchased it myself. And it's just so many memories of making new friends, developing these new relationships, friendships that would last for years because of Destiny 2 and Destiny 1. And it was to the point where these friends were so good. The funniest thing was in Destiny 1 was when the first time I really started playing with these people, my friend and then his friends, that eventually became our friends, a whole, friends of friends kind of thing, was they all wanted to play the DLC Rise of Iron in Destiny 1. I did not own it. And this is the first time anything like this has happened. Like minutes after us talking about that Rise of Iron, like, oh, I don't really have Rise of Iron. I only have up until the Taken King, and even still, I'm not particularly great at the game. And minutes later, I got an Xbox notification saying you just got gifted Destiny 1 Rise of Iron. And I was like, what the fuck? And it turns out, not my direct friend, but one of his friends messaged and bought the DLC for me to play with them. It was frankly the craziest thing that had ever happened to me. I don't really have friends buy things for me unless it's like we're at like a restaurant or like we're at movies or something. Like they just don't like buy me games, I thought that they have to or anything. It's just like, what? It's not something you expect to happen, It was really bizarre for me, and it was just and that was the beginning of a very, friendly relationship, and I just started to make so many new friends because of this game, and it was truly like a gateway into a bunch of new experiences. And Destiny 2 was only just the upping the ante. We went from playing every single day though to most of the time. Sometimes somebody would be gone for a day or two, then they'd come back, but it was truly just like, it encapsulates that time of my life. Like whenever I think of the years between 2017 to 2021, I just think of all my friends that I were playing games with at the time, and it was just such an enlightening experience, and something that I will treasure for years to come, because not everything lasts forever. Friends come and go, but you can at least treasure the memories you have of them. It reminds me of a quote. It is so cheesy, but it's from one of my favorite shows. I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you've actually left them, I think is how the quote goes. It's Andy from The Office. But that sentiment really reigns true for like that time of my life, because it dominated it entirely. Playing video games with the same group of 3 people every day for almost an entire year, and then most of the time for the preceding 4 years after that, it leaves an impact on you. So I would spend upwards of 9 hours a day talking to these people, and I do miss them, but I'll always have the memories of playing those games, the records on my account, the time spent in game. I always get to go back and remember all the fun times we had. So that's the video. What are your thoughts? Do you have any games that you're thankful for, or any, very, very funny experiences to share about a particular game? I love to hear your thoughts down below. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All that other social media garbage down below. And happy Thanksgiving. I know this video will come out the day after Thanksgiving, but scheduling is a bitch. Yeah. Don't forget to have a wonderful day. Deuces.